every penny matters. There is no balance. And once you start to accept that like, yo, this is just me. Like, I think about business all the time.
Where the money made. That's where the money made with nobody watching.
My definition of financial freedom, when your passive income outpaces your monthly recurring expenses. This is what made me have a 10-year NFL career.
How's it going, guys? And welcome to another episode of Secrets of Silent Success. Today we have the one and only Brandon Copeland, Professor Cope, all of that. How you doing this morning, brother?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you having me. Man.
Absolutely, man. It's fun. So we're just going to jump into it, man.
Let's do it.
Right, we're going to talk some finances. So the first question I want to ask Professor Cope, you know what I'm saying, Master Life 101, what's the biggest mistake financially of the average American?
Not caring about taxes. Not thinking about taxes, not understanding taxes, not focusing on taxes, not being intentional in your decisions around your money, around taxes. And the reason being is, you know, a lot of people, if you ask them, hey, what's your largest bill? What's your biggest bill? You think cable, man, the phone bill, internet. Really, it's taxes. Yeah. Right? They're going to get paid regardless. And so what you hear from a lot of wealthy people as you study finances, they put a lot of emphasis on taxes, whether it's, hey, I'm buying real estate because of depreciation and this and this and this, right? Like, it's all decisions made to keep the money that you work hard for, you get hours of your life for, in your pocket. And all of that usually stems down to tax strategy.
Yeah, man. You hit a personal card. So we're gonna take a deviation from the show note, because I didn't think you were gonna say taxes, but you were 1,000% correct. So my biggest bill, my biggest debt, my biggest focus, all three of those are tax related, right? So if you're talking to the new entrepreneur, right? Whether it's, hey, make sure you get a CPA or make sure you're paying quarterly. What's your advice, right? Maybe two tips for a new entrepreneur when it comes to tax strategy.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you know, especially when you're a new entrepreneur, because I know myself as well too, like, I'm very conscious of every single dollar I spend. When you think about the two things you need to think about as an entrepreneur when it comes to taxes and tax strategy is, one, it's an investment. Finding the right person and professional to do your taxes is an investment in your business. If I can invest X amount of dollars that now allows me to save Y amount of dollars, that's a great investment. And so thinking about it from that perspective is huge. Two, for me, it's you want to find a professional that you can actually have conversations with, that you can learn with, you can grow with, right? For me, my accountant, I call before pretty much every major decision. And I ask a bunch of questions. Hey, can I write this off? No, but what if I do this, right? And so there's a lot of times where you have a professional that is charging you for every single text, every single time you exhale on the phone. and for me, those relationships aren't healthy, right? Those are relationships, I want to be able to call you, talk things through, strategize, because again, that's what the best do.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting. You talked about investing in an accountant, the tax strategy, the CPA. Let's talk about more traditional investments, how we think of it, right? You're talking about stock market, real estate, all that good stuff. I know you started investing pretty young, right? Pretty young into your NFL career. What was your story to getting into investments, and what advice do you have for young people? Because I was like, man, this is simpler and cheaper free than I thought to even like start a brokerage account, right? So tell me, what was your story to get into investments?
So me, I went to a high school called Gelman High School, private high school. And my football coach at the time, I'm just like, man, coming up, I'm like, you know, to make money, I got to be a pro athlete. I got to start slanging. I got to figure something else out, right? But I could tell he was not a pro athlete. He's the head coach of Charlotte football right now, just came from University of Michigan. He's a great individual, helped me become the man that I am. And every single week in spring ball, when we would have practice and stuff, he would have like 40 some pizzas for everybody. And It was every single Wednesday. And I just remember being like a freshman, like, how the hell is this dude afford?
He
40
rich.
pizzas?
40 pieces, he balling.
And I would take some home. I would take a pizza or two home to the
Yeah.
fam. And I'm like, what the hell is he doing? He ain't a baller.
Yeah.
What's he doing? So I went and I asked him, like, hey, what do you do? You know, being a young little snotty-nosed kid. And turns out he owned a hedge fund. He ran a hedge fund.
Wow.
And I asked him for an internship. He said, okay, go do your workouts in the morning in the summer. You can come over to the office. And so I remember going into the office every single day in the summer and seeing Bloomberg terminals and computer screens and numbers and digits running, and then look up on TV. That was the first time I ever saw CNBC going, and these numbers and these tickers and the green arrow up and the red arrow down. And, you know, I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I could see him, his team, come into the office every single day, sit down and be making move the needle money and not hitting anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No concussions,
not running
no
from
hamstrings.
police. And I'm
none of
like,
that.
oh, what's this? And so
yeah.
that was my first introduction to the stock market as a sophomore in high school.
Yep.
And I continued to intern with him. And I just always was like, man, like, there are other ways to actually make a living.
Yep.
And so when you talk about like actually getting over the hump and getting introduced to investing, one thing I tell people, at some point you got to dive in, right? And as you mentioned, there's a number of ways that you can dive in today for no cost, right? You don't have to pay to start the account or anything like that. Like, the access and the barriers to entry today are lower than they've ever been.
Yep.
What I always suggest to people is whatever brokerage account that you want to use, try to see if they have like a virtual trading or paper trading account, and give yourself some time to just like literally sit down and practice trading and see how it would go with paper money.
Yeah.
And that gives you a chance to make mistakes with the platform. Oh, I didn't know that this meant this. When I pressed this button, it did this, right? It gives you a chance to kind of start to look at trends, notice trends. I also say you should download the different apps, the CNBCs, the Bloombergs, the Wall Street Journals, the Market Watches. You turn on the notifications. It's free news that they just send to you, so you start to see why the market is moving up and down.
Yep.
And then eventually you got to get off the sidelines and, as we've talked about, get in the game, right? And when you do that, that's when you start to really care, right? Like, it's the difference between the practice and the game, and you start to see. I remember my first trade. I was a junior in college.
Okay.
And I had come off an internship with an investment bank, UBS, and I took $3,000.
Okay.
Part of the money I made
That's
on
big
this
money
intern.
in college.
That's big
That's
money.
big money.
Yeah. Now listen, this college internship they were paying me. I was excited. I didn't want to leave home. That was my first summer away from home. But the money they were paying your boy, I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
I'm rich.
Yeah.
And I took $3,000. And I remember being in class at Penn, and I put the money into the account. The money finally cleared the account and all of that type of stuff. I'd done that whole process that I just explained to you before on like the virtual trade and all that stuff. Now I'm finally ready to trade, and I'm sitting there in class, should be paying attention, and I buy Ford stock. I don't even know why I bought Ford, but at the time I'm like, Ford cars is about, I think it was about like $12 a share or something like that at the time. And that thing goes down 3 cents. Literally. As soon as I buy it, boom, that whole thing went to like $11.97.
Yep.
Then $11.95. I'm like, so. Got nervous.
Yep.
Yep. I'm like, oh man. 20 minutes later, I'm like, come on, man. You start to see it go back up. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
All right, let me get back in again. And this time they had like commissions on the trades as well too. But I got back in.
Paying your $7.99 every time you hit that button.
And then that thing went down again. I sold out.
Yeah.
And I share that story because, when you start, like everything else in life, you got to build a stomach for it. You got to start to, like, again, that virtual trading money, I see it go down. It's cool. I close the laptop, right?
Yeah.
I start seeing that real money go down. Oh, I made the worst decision of my life. You know what I'm saying? This isn't for me, right?
Yeah.
But you got to start building that gene and that muscle so that when you do have your your livelihood in these investments in these stocks, you know how to react.
Yeah. Now, I like to say, for me personally, that's not my money. Once I put it into an investment, it could be real estate, it could be a stock, it could be a business, it could be crypto. Shaking my head, it ain't my money anymore. Right. Once I put it into that asset. So let's switch gears real quick from pun intended. Well, I'm gonna go with this. Switch gears real quick from assets to liabilities. Yeah. I like to tell people, in my opinion, the two biggest ways you can kill your financial wellness is where you live and what you drive, right? I think that's the two biggest things. And as a person who just had to buy a new car, so I say had to. My rack and pinion went out on my car with 290,000 miles. I had to buy it. It was it. She died. She died. But anyway, where you live and what you drive. Can you tell me about, whether it was playing for the Lions or playing in Tennessee, when you went out there and bought that first car, right? What was that experience like? What did you learn? What do you tell other people about buying that liability, buying that interest, buying that debt? Because at the end of the day, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, no, man. For me, I've had a different story in the league where, because I've been fired so many times, I wasn't out there making huge purchases. Yeah. I ended up buying my first car. I drove the same car since high school, my first 4 years in the league, and then that bad boy died on me on the side of the road in Maryland in the off season one day. And I'm like, dang, gotta buy a car. Yeah. And again, mind you, so when I actually went and made the decision to buy a car, right? I remember my wife's father, he's a car salesman. Yeah. And at the time, I'm about to buy it in all cash. I'm like, I don't want to pay no interest. I don't want to do none of that type of stuff. And he was like, interest rate's 1%. It's like, you can do so many other things with the money. Yep. Man, go ahead. Like, finance it. Let your money work for you and all that type of stuff. So I was fortunate to have him in my ear to tell me, don't just blow a whole bag on this car that might only last you a few years anyway. Yep. Fast forward, I still have that car. For me, car buying and ownership has always been a fascinating thing because a lot of people are more around leasing. And because a car is a liability, for me, I think that with everything that you hear in life, you got to figure out what your actual personal understanding of it is and your personal relationship with money is, right? Yeah. Like for me, I want to own everything. That might be the worst decision in the world, but like it's mine. Yeah. And leaving a career like football, I was always fearful of coming out and not having anything real to my name. Like leaving, working hard, have done and spent a bunch of money, but when I really sit down, I'm like, dang, I don't own this. Yeah. I gotta get to work right now. Yeah. Right? So for me, I'm like, I got me a car. Boom, I bought my first house in 2016. Worst case scenario, I'm gonna be all right. Yeah. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna muscle up. Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about what role frugality or being frugal plays in building wealth, because I think it's one thing to save, I think it's another thing to build wealth. I know you talked about the inconsistencies of the NFL when you first started out. Usually, I'm scared to get fired. You told me to quote, hey, to stay on this roster, you got to take food off another man's plate. Like I've heard it plenty of times. I get you. So what was your mindset around like, hey, I do want to build this wealth and I got to be frugal, but like where does frugality and saving turn to wealth? What is that cycle like?
Yeah, I think it's just you're a business owner. You're an entrepreneur. Like every individual is their own business. And, what I always think about is when I was fresh in the league, I had a buddy of mine who came and visited, or we might have been at homecoming. I can't actually remember. And we're sitting around at dinner out at a restaurant. Bill comes around and he checks it. And then he's like, hey, like, we didn't get this and this and this. And one of the people at the table was like, man, you're so rich. I can't even believe you checked the bill. He was like, that's how you stay rich. Oh, you on top of your stuff. It's not just frivolous, right? Like, it's intentional. Yeah. Every penny matters. Like, for me, frugality is like, if I don't need it, if I don't want it, there's some other purpose for that money. What I'm doing today that's going to work for Brandon Copeland 5 years from now, or work for my kids 5 years from now. Yeah. So there's a lot of people, oh man, you got it. Like between us, the NFL just called and they sending me a bonus from a couple years ago, because during the pandemic they stopped paying out bonuses. The Falcons called and say, hey man, we got your bonus for you. Y'all need to call me more often, right? Check just hit on Wednesday. Yeah. And the temptation is,
that's unexpected money. I can go and do something with that. Yeah.
I almost forgot about it. Yeah. Right? But that's life-changing money if you work it the right way. Yep. And so I think for me, frugality is almost like everything is a puzzle. And like, what can I do with that money that's going to unlock a dream that I don't even know I have? Yeah. And I think for me, it's part of delayed gratification as well too. Yep. But frugality and I'll say wealth definitely go hand in hand, because you got to deny what you want today at times for what's best for you in the future.
Yeah. Literally just saw that on your Instagram like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. You got to deny what you want now for what you want most.
There we go. So I might have reposted somebody's stuff.
Reposted that. So I want to talk a little bit about, wealth, financial freedom, millionaire. Like, these terms get thrown out so much. I'm growing up, I want to make $100,000, and you get $100,000, you're like, that's nothing. And then like, everybody's like, I want to be a millionaire. Well, what is that? Do you want a liquid million? Do you want to have a net worth of $1 million? Which is two different things. Totally different. So, with Life 101, the tagline is all about building financial freedom. Yeah. So I want to ask you, what's your definition of financial freedom? Yep. And then, how do you help someone else seek or give advice to find their definition of financial freedom?
Yeah, so my definition of financial freedom has evolved over time. Right now, my definition is, and I think it'll stay this, when your passive income outpaces your monthly recurring expenses. So when I literally can wake up and I don't have to do a dang thing and bills are paid, I don't have to do anything, we good, right? When your passive income outpaces your monthly recurring expenses, period. Now you're financially free. Yeah. You don't have to answer to anybody. You can think clearly in your decisions and your thought process. And for me, that's the definition. That's what I chase, and I'm trying to just continue to run this race and outpace it. Yep. And grow it. And then now for anybody else trying to figure out their definition, I'm biased, but I'd say you should consider mine. Because again, it definitely, it mentally, you feel really, really good. You hit that mark. Yeah. But again, I've evolved to this point. At first it was a number. Yep. Right. But then naturally, human psychology, you get to that number, you're like, well, what, I'm done?
Yeah.
Like, yep. And the other thing is, when you're chasing a number, you start to, it's like a lot of retired people, you chase a number, you have your 401k, for example, and you start to see, oh, I'm withdrawing from this all the time, and there's nothing else going into it. And now you have to start looking up, dang, am I about to outlive what I have left? Yeah. Right? So really chasing that passive income stream is what's key to you really being able to sit back and enjoy your hard work. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And this is interesting. This is definitely not anything that I prepared, but it's an interesting point, because for me personally, like, I talked to my CPA, I've talked to financial advisor, like, get your Roth, get your IRA. And I'm like, I'm not chasing retirement. I'm chasing passive income that's going to retire me. Yeah. What is your thoughts on that? Because everybody want to push retirement, which I get it. Like, retirement's important, but having $3.5 million and your expenses are, right, $50,000 a month, it ain't gonna last very long.
Yeah, and I think so. It's a great topic, and I'm gonna take this two ways. One, retirement is something that I don't know if I'll ever do. Yeah, and it's not the traditional view of retirement as I'm laid up, I'm on vacation, I'm chilling for the rest of my life under an umbrella. Yeah. Right.
That sounds anxiety to me.
Well, it sounds anxiety to me, but what I've seen too though is like, just even in my family, both my grandparents have dementia. That thing has sped up when they retire. When you end up sitting at home watching TV and you're not getting that mental stimulation, right? So for me, retirement looks like, hey, I'm just not in the day-to-day grind, the day-to-day hustle.
Yeah.
But I'm still managing things. I'm still using my brain power. And if you look at some of the Warren Buffetts of the world, the wealthy folks in the world, right? They still going, still clicking, still sharp. And I think that there's something to that.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm like you. I'll never retire. I'll always be like a manager of folks, so to speak, a manager of businesses and of people. But I think that we should definitely challenge the notion of traditional retirement. Keep your brain sharp, keep your brain fresh.
Yeah.
Find you something that you actually genuinely love to do. And how do you, like my mom is retired right now. So with me as her son, it's like, okay, well, how do I plug you into business in a way that you're chilling, but you got to roll.
Yeah.
You're still working. You're still exercising your brain. You're still challenging yourself to solve the puzzle, but now you're solving the puzzle for this empire.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Now you hit a chord, man. My maternal grandmother worked until she was 79, and dementia runs in our family. Her sisters all had it, and man, it progressed so quickly.
Yeah.
So that was right before Corona, and unfortunately, she passed away this February, man.
Sorry, man.
And it was just like, if you ask me what was the worst thing that happened, it was her stop working.
Yeah.
Because like I said, you just kind of start to wither away a bit. So nah, man, I hit a totally different chord. But when we talking about family, one of the most admiring things that I noticed about you, man, we came to Florida that first time, and bro, you still in the league, right? You working out 4 times a day. I'm like, bro, I don't want to go to work out, but like, you working out like 4 times a day.
Yeah.
But man, any second that you could devote to your family, like that was, I called my wife up and like, bro, like, this dude here, man, like I know this, like we going to go shop for your son in the Disney store in like 10 minutes, right? I'm like, I'm waiting for my iPhone. Let me go shop at the Disney store, right? We out here waiting for the workout to start. Let me FaceTime my wife and see the kids real quick. And I think your wife was pregnant at the time, right?
Yep.
Oh, we about to get a workout in. Like, let me get my wife on the resistance bands. Like, I seen that you incorporated your family in any sliver of time that you could. I just want to ask you, like, what's your method to the madness? A lot of people talk about work-life balance. I think it's just balance in life. I don't think there's such thing as work in life, because I love my work and my life, right?
Yeah.
So how do you just balance life? What's your skill set?
Yeah, man, they're I'm not gonna act like I made this up, but I've been hearing more and more lately, there is no balance. And once you start to accept that like, yo, this is just me. Like, I think about business all the time. Like, I think like the way some people think about sports and their favorite team, I'm thinking right now about how we're going to pull off this holiday shopping spree across these different states. It's a puzzle. It's a Rubik's Cube to me that I'm trying to just always crack.
Yeah.
Or I'm thinking about the next problem, next thing. But throughout all of those different layers, Brandon Copeland grew up wanting to be a father, wanting to be a husband. And if you're going to do anything at an extremely high level, there's sacrifices you have to make. Like you said, you saw me doing crazy workouts, pushing cars, all of that type of stuff, running in the rain, doing what you had to do to live the life you want. The unfortunate thing is your family makes a huge sacrifice when you're doing that stuff as well too. They make a sacrifice of time. And so for me, it's like, one, I'm doing it all for them and for our future Copelands. Yeah. But two, I've always dreamed of them being along for the ride with me. And I know that sounds crazy, but being in the locker room and just being around people who have achieved a high level of business, not everybody's like this, but you meet some people who are very happy being away from the fam, right? They're very thankful for the time away. Yeah. I don't get it, right? Like it's not me. Yeah. So everything I'm thinking about is like, okay, how do I incorporate you into what we're actually doing, into the decisions I'm making? And finally, as my children get older, my oldest is 4, my youngest just turned 2. Yeah. My job is to, how do I start to incorporate them, my boys, into the business. And it's not like force you into my role or force you into my seat, but how do you start to slowly hear some of the decisions, some of the conversations? Because I want you to be, he's not going to, my son isn't going to have to intern at a hedge fund because he'll see his dad do it if he doesn't want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so that's also a job and a responsibility. And when you think about, you know, people talk about team owners all the time. And I have a buddy of mine who tells me about how some of the team owners he's been around do this. They incorporate their children into the life, into the lifestyle, so that they can start to see how to move, as Jay-Z said, move in a room full of vultures, right? I want them to learn it early, and it'd be really damn cool to learn it from their dad.
I'm gonna add one building block on top of that. I was interviewing a restaurateur, and if you know anything about restaurateurs, they gonna work 16-hour days, something crazy. And so he brought his kids into the business, and he was like, you know, the only way I see my grandkids now is because my kids are in the business. He was like, man, I'm in the business. I am the business. You just talked about that. That's who I am. That's who I am as Brandon Copeland. Why not bring my family, my friends, my loved ones to meet me where I'm at? Right? You know, let's bring them into it. And, you know, obviously we can pass down the legacy. We can, you know, put them in the room full of oceans, but we can also just spend time with them.
Right.
You know, doing something that we enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So,
and I'll even, not to cut you off, but like old coach of mine years ago when I was with the Jets, he told me, it's funny because he actually grew up coaching my grandfather and with the Baltimore Colts, and all these years later now he's coaching me. And that was like his first start into the game in the 60s with the Baltimore Colts. And one of the things he said, he's like, Cope, listen, man, if I can give you one piece of advice, I would tell you, save up enough money, buy you a vacation home. And he was like, you buy you a vacation home because it's the one way to get all your family back to you. He was like, I'm old as hell now. My grandkids don't want to come talk to me and play with me and all that type of stuff, but they want to go on the holidays to our vacation home. I get them all back with me, right? And again, as you know, I will admit, it's levels to this ish. Don't get me wrong. But that's exactly what you're saying. Is like, how do you find ways to incorporate your family into the things that you already love and already do?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. I got two last questions for you. You brought up your grandfather. I know your grandfather played in the league as well. You talked about the Baltimore Colts. He had an interview when you first got into the league, and he was basically, if I got any advice for Brandon, is you know, don't play long. Right. What was the conversations like with your grandfather? Because I know one of your goals was to be in the league for 10 years, right? Which you did. So congratulations, brother. But like, what was your thought process around that? Because you know, NFL is not for long, but it's extremely demanding for however long it is.
Yeah, man. I think, you know, one, like you said, seeing his life after is just drastically affected not only the man I am, but the perspective I have about football in regards to life in general. Every single year after probably 6, I've always just been like clocking my head. Like, Granddad told me. It's kind of hard to say no, you know. Granddad told me I don't have enough money tucked away yet. Granddad told me, right? And ultimately, after I've had 8 surgeries at this point, I came in the league after having 1 surgery, so 7 in 10 years. And I remember probably around surgery 4, I'm like, I ain't having another surgery. Then you tear that pec. You're like, but I still got a little more in me, you know? And so I don't even know if I'm answering your question right, but I think that, you know, growing up in a household, having your hero there has been tremendous. And I'm even going to just go beyond football a little bit real quick. My granddad's story is incredible. Love to make a movie with you about it one day. Grew up in Mississippi. Father died before he was born. Mother got struck by lightning in front of him when he was 5. All he remembers is mother sitting in a rocking chair knitting in front of the window. Lightning hits him and his brother, fly, hit the wall, get knocked unconscious, wake up, and all he remembers is pieces of a ruby red polka dot dress stapled to the wall and the floor. goes to live with an aunt and uncle, aunt by blood, uncle by marriage. Uncle's abusive, makes him eat rats, stuff like that.
Wow.
Runs away at 13 years old in Mississippi, black boy, Mississippi, 50s, running away. Finds some way to still be a great student in high school, A's and B's, basketball and football. Didn't start playing football till his junior year of high school. Goes to junior college, Utica College, ends up going to Jackson State, ends up going to the Baltimore Colts, plays 11-year NFL career, 9 with the Colts, 1 with the Falcons, 1 with the Giants. Yeah. And ultimately, I think, you know, the thing that has always driven me about him in particular is like, 1, he wouldn't tell you that story unless you asked.
Yeah.
2, what excuse in the world could I have for not being fucking amazing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I literally think of life as a relay race, track and field. My grandparents, I mean, imagine where their parents took it from, right? But my grandparents just running as hard as they could.
Yeah.
Jiving, passing it to my mom.
Yep.
She took it. Okay, everything ain't perfect, but I'm gonna give my 2 boys everything they want. She running, pass it to me.
Yep.
I got no excuse not to kill this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
All the foundation in the world. Yeah, things could be better here. Could have more support here. Could do this here. Yeah, you could. Everybody could have more, whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, there's a amazing amount of pride knowing that I come from this type of bloodline.
Yeah.
But the bloodline is not like some wealthy this, wealthy that. It's just a bloodline of like, I'm a soldier.
Resilience.
Yeah, I'm a soldier, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And so I think when it comes to my grandfather, and I know I'm sorry, I'm extremely long-winded with this question. I'll give you the best lesson he ever gave me about football. This is what made me have a 10-year NFL career. I'm 12 years old. We're in his den, so to speak. My granddad always ripped up like cereal boxes, paper. If it's a bottle, he's crushing it up and putting the top on because he wanted as much space as possible in the trash can. Yeah. So we sitting there watching TV. I'm sitting on the couch. He's at the dining room table. He's cutting up his stuff, throwing it in the trash can. He's like, "Hey, Cope." Yeah, Granddad. You know why I was so good at football? My granddad's not like an egotistical person.
Yeah, yeah.
Why, Granddad? I'm 12. Just getting started. So, I always thought of football like this trash can. You put me and another person in the trash can, and you say only one of you can come out. I don't care if you all world, if you all pro, I don't care if you Goliath, it don't matter to me. You say only one man can come out this trash can, I'm coming out the trash can. That's why I was good at football. And literally since then, and he looked at me so serious. Yeah. Like you could tell it was like a different granddad switch.
Yeah.
Like his nickname was Killer. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah.
His nickname was Killer. Damn, Granddad, what you doing?
Yeah.
Literally, my entire career, since 12, I'm mute. It's only one man out this trash can. I have a buddy of mine who used to text me before games. Only man out the trash can, right? Yep. Some things in life, people drown you in X's and O's and EBITDA and these spreadsheets and this. Some things are simple. Yeah. Boil it back down to the fundamentals. Football is me versus you. Yeah. It's me or you. I'm not getting embarrassed out here. My mama watching. Yeah. My wife is watching. My kids are watching. That's what helped me last 10 years. That's why I say this. I could go back on the field right now. Yeah. No fear in the world. Because it's me or you. Yeah. Only man out the trash can.
Yeah. So this is called the Secrets of Silent Success podcast. And I think you just gave me your secrets to success. Yeah. But I'm going to go ahead and just ask you flat out, what is Brandon Copeland's secret to success?
Never give up. Yeah, never give up. I feel like I got to give you something different than the only man out the trash can. But no, the secret to silent success, my secret to silent success is I never give up. Yeah. I never give up. I never give myself an excuse. It's funny. I'm starting to create some like family values.
Okay.
So that I could start to get my kids starting to just get a mindset about themselves. So if I go to my son right now, I say teamwork. I say, teamwork makes the dream work, right? I say we never quit. We keep going, right? He's 4. My 2-year-old will try to mouth it a little bit, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I took DJ Cal, I say, we the what? Oh, I say, you either what? I say, you either win with us or you watch us win, right? There is no other option, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so when you take on that mindset, it's like anything I put my mind to, done. Yeah. There's some people, that's too much, it's too big. Why don't you slow down this shit? I want to do it. Why would I not? So my secret to silent success is anything I genuinely want to do, done. Now I just got to figure out how to put the pieces in play, and it's worked out for me thus far.
Yeah. Cool. We'll leave it there, brother.
Cool.
I appreciate you, man. Till next time, bro.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, man.